Welcome to the Short Rod Show. You're talking with Ben.
And you got Brett.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. We're on Season 2, Episode 17.
Yeah.
Cranking out episodes every Sunday, 9 o'clock.
9 o'clock.
Cranking them out. They'll be on YouTube. They'll be on all your favorite podcast platforms.
Apple.
Everything.
Not SoundCloud. Everything but SoundCloud.
Yep, no SoundCloud.
Should have even said SoundCloud.
I think you got to pay for it. We don't make any money, so
I'm not doing that.
we're not doing that.
Podbean.
My brother let me know Castbox. Apparently it's pretty popular.
Huh.
We have like 85 subscribers on there.
Sweet. I've never heard of it.
Me neither. So that's
Pandora.
Yep.
Audible, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amazon.
We're everywhere. We're all over the internet.
Yep. So just search Short Rod Show. You'll find us.
We need updates.
Obviously, if you're listening to this on a podcast platform, you already found us. So
Yep.
thanks for joining us.
Unless you listen to us on YouTube.
There you go. We're getting a lot of followers on there too, so that's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, it's definitely picking up. I don't push it real hard. I still think our podcasting stuff is still kind of where we live in our niche, but the YouTube stuff just kind of helps. It's a lot easier to share that stuff around social media than it is to share podcasts.
I think a lot of our audience is guys sitting at work thinking about ice fishing.
Yep.
Have YouTube up on one screen, doing their spreadsheets on the other screen.
Definitely. I do.
Yeah.
That's what I do all the time.
Fun. So, yeah, what are we talking about today, Brett?
Today's going to be kind of a little bit more of a random episode. Main topic will be, we got out last Saturday during the polar vortex, super sub-zero cold weather.
We actually were fishing in the freezer.
We're out fishing. Yeah. Actually put some of those tactics we talked about last week out into use. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll really go into depth and kind of go step by step of what we did when we hit the water out there. I think that'll be the main topic. A little bit I want to touch on here early is I kind of brain farted.
We actually caught some fish, enough you filleted them out.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Cleaned up a couple fish. They got frozen, so it took a couple days for them to thaw out. But yep.
Did you de-thaw them or unthaw them?
Rethawed them.
Rethawed the de-thawed fish?
Yeah. That's been a big debacle on Facebook here the last day or two.
Yeah, talk about that.
Posted that up. So I posted.
So that was just today. We're
just
on a Thursday or Wednesday.
Wednesday. So just this afternoon, I got out. Those fish were finally unfrozen. They were no longer in a block of ice.
Not frozen.
Yep.
Thawed.
Or de-thawed, whichever.
Big distinction here.
They were unthawed. That is the definition on the internet.
Yep. Go look it up.
That is to be thawed. But got them out. I'm like, you know what? I'll do something a little different to these because we had 2 or 3 bluegills that weren't real big. That one crappie wasn't very big. The big crappie, I probably would never try to do this again too because his scales were a little more substantial and it's kind of pain in the ass. But what I did was did the old descale and lop their head off trick. Just gutted them, descaled them. And we're gonna cook them up whole.
So how did you descale them?
I had a knife. Luckily, I had a knife that had a little descaler on the back, but I've seen it where people put a little pop bottle top, and nail it to a piece of wood. Use that to descale, or they'll use a spoon. I've done spoon before, or they make an actual descaler.
Yep.
And you kind of run against the grain on the scales, and they'll flick off. What I did was I put them in a bag, like before pre-descaling. I put them in a bag, put my hands in there, and descaled them, tried to contain the scales as much as possible. Still got scales all over the place.
Smart.
It made a pretty big difference. The bluegills were definitely easier to scale than the crappies were. So I think if I was going to do it again, exact perfect scenario if you want to do this is if you're really getting into a lot of like 6 to 7 inch bluegills, because they're all right size. I mean, there's some meat on them, but they're just, if you're going to try to fillet them, you're just not getting that much meat because you could be the best flayman in the world and it's gonna look like kind of pathetic.
That's tough. Yeah. Real fine knife skills needed.
Yep. So what I think I like about this is that you got the tail, you got the fins you can eat because they'll crisp up real nice, and the smaller fish you got the bones will soften up. I mean, you still got to pick out the bones, but the meat falls right off the bones. It's no big deal. But the skin crisps up real nice, and you just get a whole nice package to eat. And then at the end of it, you'll have literally just a skeleton left that you throw away.
Nice. Yeah, I'm excited to try that.
Yeah, I think it'll be sweet. So for our cooking episode, we'll have fish 3 ways. I'm thinking right now.
Okay.
So I've got, you guys have followed along, and I've been posting this online. We've got those crappies I caught a couple weeks ago here in town. Those are filleted out normal style. We've got that catfish and now I've got these whole bluegill and 2 crappies. So we're gonna do fish 3 ways.
We'll try and add to that here this weekend too. We'll see.
Yeah, we might not add that to the rest of the fishing pod, to the cooking episode, but yeah, because we're already gonna have more fish than what we're gonna eat. It's gonna be a feast.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
But, yep,
Good deal.
those should be pretty good.
Yep. But yeah, definitely. We were out fishing in it. It was cold. We're talking about fishing in the deep freeze and being extremely cold. It was extremely cold. I think it was probably -10 or so when we were out there. Warmed up to maybe like -5.
Yep.
So not real ideal to get out and whole hop around and have a good time. But we definitely had a good time. We made it work.
Yeah,
we got fish.
It was good.
Yep, it was a good time.
Yeah, so we got up real early on Saturday. We left here at like 5. Pond we went to, public pond, just like anything else we talk about here. We don't go on private stuff, really rarely ever. Public water. And I'd been on this pond once before earlier this spring, and and I say pond, but I mean it's kind of right in between pond and lake.
Mid-sized pond.
Yeah, it's a mid-sized.
Large
pond, small lake, sort of situation. So in that situation, I use the terms interchangeably, but and so this place is known for big bluegills. I mean, when I went out in the spring, I was catching 9.5 to 10-inch bluegills every 4, 5, 6 casts.
Which on public water, that's
unheard. Yeah, that's unheard of.
And that's why we're not mentioning where it's at.
No,
that's how the old big bluegills go away.
Yeah, that's how you lose the big bluegill.
Blow a spot up like that, and all the big bluegills they'll be gone.
Yeah, because it doesn't take much. Because the big ones are the most aggressive ones, and we found that out also on Saturday. But we got there. There was a little bit of snow. A little bit, maybe 2 inches.
A couple inches. Yeah. Just
so
made
fresh powder.
Slow drive. Yep.
We were the first ones on the ice.
Yep.
At I don't know what time
7.
we got there. 7.
Well, we were
fishing
fishing
at
at 7.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good.
Yeah. The quad started right up.
Man,
pulled
it was
right
cold.
Off. I was impressed.
Yeah. I mean, I had it running the night before, loaded it up. It sat in the garage all night, and the garage, I don't know how cold the garage got. It was freezing the water on the floor.
Oh yeah.
Driven off, but full choke on the quad the entire time.
Yeah.
Like there was not even any getting off it.
Yeah.
That poor thing was just
pull start,
just cold.
Pulled off. Just didn't take too many pulls.
So that's got 5W30 in it. That'll spin it right over, no problem.
Yeah, it's liquid.
Yep. Sounds good.
So got the otter out there. So the interesting part about when we first started out there, like I said, we got some fresh powder. You can't really see where other people were fishing.
Yeah, and it didn't look like there's a lot of other
prior, history or understanding. Was just the one time that I'd been on this lake prior, and I was fishing some pretty shallow stuff. There's a little roadbed that runs from one fishing jetty to the boat ramp that most of the big fish were sitting on. So, and that was in like 4 feet of water, so that's not really ice fishing water. Not in this pond, anyways.
Yeah.
But I remember there were some brush piles kind of along the contour of the far shoreline from the boat ramp. It's not really accessible from shore on that side, so it kind of limits the angling that goes on that side from shore, anyways. So yeah, we hauled out there. It was cold. I mean, we only went 200 yards.
Yeah. Yep.
And I was like, all right, Ben, this is the spot.
your eyebrows are just freaking.
My eyebrows are all frosted up.
Yep.
So I go out, start drilling some holes, and Ben's like, I'm just gonna set up. I was like, I'm gonna drill some holes. You mark around, see what you see quick. First hole, Ben marked a few fish. He's like, well, I'm gonna start setting up right here.
Yep.
So I went and drilled a couple other holes.
That's such a good feeling, though, seeing fish on your first hole.
Yep.
And actually being able to tell, like, okay, that's a bluegill.
This is gonna be a
off the
bluegill.
bottom.
Crappie.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's just awesome.
Yeah.
But I mean, our strategy at that point was, okay, let's get the shelter flipped up. The good thing about the otter, you can flip it up, you can run the heat in it.
Yep.
You can warm up in there or whatever, and then you can just shut the heat off, set the heater on the seat, and pull it somewhere else, and it stays relatively warm.
Yeah.
As long as you're keeping the same air in there, it's gonna stay warm.
It's not so bad. Yeah.
Yep.
We weren't necessarily able to do that every time.
No.
That's what we wanted to do, but when it actually came time to do it, the quad didn't want to do that.
Yeah, that pork was.
She spun out a little bit and didn't have quite the nuts that it usually does.
Yeah, with the choke on all the way, you could not get it choked more. It probably needed choked more for a little while, and then once it warmed up a little bit, then it was choked too much, and then
we almost should have just left it running. But then it's not air. It's air cooled though, right?
Yeah, I don't think it builds enough heat anyway.
Yeah.
You know, we almost need to have like, you know, a couple hand warmers stuck to the side of it, like what we talked about.
So that was the thing too, is I never used hand warmers.
Oh yeah,
before.
tell them about the hand warmers.
That's because I'm not a girl.
Yeah.
And I've never used hand warmers before. And I was like, man, it is pretty cold. Ben had extra hand warmers, so I was like, all right, I'll take it.
Fire them up like an hour before you're going to use them. That's
the key.
That's the key.
Yeah.
Fire them up when you first get out in the pickup, start driving somewhere.
Yep.
They get warm.
So what Ben told me to do, and it actually worked out really well, was put that hot hand right in the palm of your hand, and then put your glove on. And then it just kind of sits in there. You know, your gloves are tight enough, kind of holds them in there. It's not going anywhere.
Yep.
And yeah, that really, it didn't do too much if I had exposed fingers, which obviously wouldn't.
Well, yeah,
but
fingerless gloves.
Yeah, but the rest of my hands, everything else stayed nice and toasty. So yeah, that was a good tip. Worked out well.
Yep.
Where do you get? You buy a whole box off Amazon.
Yeah, I think they're not very expensive when you buy them in bulk like that. You know, probably 30, 40 cents a pack.
Oh
two of them.
Yeah.
So
for the value that brought, I'm definitely gonna have to do that next year.
Yep. And then I was kind of surprised too. Like the DeWalt didn't have any problems. Nope. And I tested out had the battery sitting in the pickup. All the way.
I think having starting with a warm battery.
Yeah, that helped a lot.
If the core is already cold, then it's a problem.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure on the 996 DeWalt if it actually has like some kind of temperature protection mode built into the drill.
It
didn't seem to.
Because your old one would have stopped.
Yep.
It would have definitely stopped.
Oh yeah, it would have been. You know, just kind of trying to go.
It wouldn't have liked that cold.
Yeah. Yep.
No.
Yep. So that was good. We got some holes drilled. Like I said, found fish on the first drop. You kind of poked around trying to find some better spots.
And I definitely did find some other spots. And that was the plan. You know, I kind of marked those spots, and I was like, well, I'll go in and warm up. I mean, this is a matter of from when we stopped the sled, and I said this is the spot, to me drilling holes and checking holes. It might have been 5 minutes before I was back in. Before you had the shack hooked up or set up, and I was getting back in it.
Yep.
Because it was cold.
Yeah.
And yeah. We weren't I was not in a situation or in a mood where I wanted to go do a lot of hole hopping, a lot of running around. When you're in that sub-zero weather, it's good just to be out.
Oh, just nice to be out.
Give you so much shit for saying, it's just nice to be out, but
man, it was good.
In that situation,
to be on a
it's
spot, nice where you see fish, and it didn't take that long to set up.
Yep.
Everything's good.
Yep. You're ready to roll.
Yep. And we actually got some fish right off the bat.
Yeah, so we set up, so this would be maybe, I mean, it was pretty overcast, but if I was going to say where the sun would have been at that point, it would maybe just crest in the trees.
Yeah.
So, I mean, right at sun up. And that's when that was really the only time we had crappies coming through. Was right there at sun up. I don't think throughout the rest of the day, but we were fishing more brush piles the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Where this one, we weren't on any of the brush piles yet, we were just kind of out open. And fish were roaming, coming back and forth and going through, but. Yeah, well, you were the first one on, I believe. You had bluegill.
Yep.
On the rattling flyer.
Yeah, I fished the rattling flyer a lot.
Which kind of surprised me right off the bat there. With how cold it was, I really expected some of those fish to be in an off mood.
Yeah.
But there at the beginning, they were not.
Yeah, and I kind of started big, and then I downsized after that and went to jigs.
Yeah. But that was
kind of held the bite
well on into the morning.
Yeah.
That was after we moved a second time.
Yep.
Before you got off the rattling flyer.
Had some dead waxies right off the bat. That was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
Don't
put the dead ones. You're better off than plain spoon. Don't put dead ones.
Yep. Brett saved the day. Had some extra waxies on hand. So
yep. So I'm still running. If you guys remember from our first, well, not our first episode, but from early January.
You're just raising them.
Still running off that same 250 pack that I bought from Dunkin' Gas and Grocery.
Those suckers were
There's some dead ones now. There's been a few
they're-
that have come through, but I mean, I bet I pulled maybe 20 dead ones out so far.
They were pretty lively.
Yeah,
Like,
they're
that's
still
a
getting
big
big.
deal.
They're getting big and fat now.
Yep.
I need to figure out if I can feed them. How do I feed them? Well, they're starting to get some black in them.
Yeah.
So I think that means that they're kind of maturing.
Yeah.
They're going to start cocoon soon.
You're probably holding them past their lifespan.
Oh no, they'll cocoon. I mean, they'll turn into a fly.
Yeah.
They'll go.
You'll get them.
Or a butterfly or a moth. I think
Some
that's
kind
what
of
they
moth,
turn into.
yeah. Yep. Fresh waxies, that was the key.
Yep. A good fresh waxy. And they really wanted that bait moving.
Yep.
It wasn't as evident at the beginning of the day. You could get them, say there's bluegill coming up off the bottom, you could kind of jig it up slowly and they'd eventually come up and bite it.
Yeah.
Those ones at the beginning of the day, if you mark them, they're going to eat.
Yeah, and then as it wore on, I mean, you could see them off on the edges, and they just kind of wander in, look at it. Okay,
Yep.
no, something's
Yep.
off. And those could have been the bigger bluegills. I mean, they're smart.
Yeah,
They know what's going on.
They might have been.
They're
I don't
not
know.
fall
Looking
for
at the marks,
teenagers.
looking at the marks on the Panoptics, I would say that they weren't. I'd say they were probably the same normal size that we were catching. I wouldn't say smaller, but average size that we were catching.
Well, that lake does have a lot of forage opportunities. I don't think it's hurting for food or anything by
No,
any means.
definitely not. No.
So,
But then we moved the second time, or do we want to do a breakout before we move? To the
no, we better break it up here.
All right, sounds good.
Word from our sponsors wouldn't hurt.
Yeah,
I'll
take it away, Cody.
All one of them. All right, that's coming up next, Con.
The Short Rod Show. Welcome back, guys, to the Short Rod Show.
There you go. So yeah, we're talking our fishing outing this past weekend in this extreme cold.
Yep.
Had a great time. Of course, just nice to be out, like what Brett always says.
Well, it helped that we put actually some good fish on the
Yes,
ice
that's
too. I mean, we put some. I would say we put a few substantial fish on the ice.
Oh, yeah.
Now they were still panfish, but as far as panfish size goes, they were fairly
Yeah, for
substantial.
public water, that's
I was putting up 12-inch crappie, 9-inch bluegills. You
Mhm.
can't. That's not anything to snuff at. I don't think.
yeah.
So where do we leave at the break? That
So
was
yeah,
our
we were
first
fishing
spot.
at like what 7:30.
Yeah, fished at
Where were we
7:30. So that first spot we fished, we put in the bucket. What we had 2 crappies. You caught I caught that 12-inch crappie. You caught a
Yep.
smaller crappie. And at that point, I think we only had 2 crappies in the bucket.
Yep.
I don't think we put anything else in there yet. All right. And you caught yours. I caught mine on a was it a spoon? Double jig? No, it wasn't a double jig.
Yeah, you were fishing jigs right off the bat.
Yeah, I was
You ended up
fishing jigs
switching
and nothing was biting, so I switched to the spoon.
Yeah.
Oh no, what was it?
to the flyer.
Must have been no, I hadn't changed to the flyer that early yet. Must have been the perch stalker. I
Oh,
caught that
that's what
first.
it was. You
I
did
think I
that
caught that
first.
first big crappie on the perch stalker.
Yep. Man, that's been a good bait. So
That has been the surprise bait of the season. Is that perch stalker?
that's interesting.
White color.
Was
Or
it like
glow, but yeah.
white beads, or what? Or like silver?
What?
Aren't the beads like silver?
No, it's all white. The whole thing's white.
okay. Okay.
There's a metallic one also. I have
Okay. Yeah.
like a
That's what
silvery
I was
one, a gold one, and then a white one.
Nice.
And the white one I think is glow. But
That dropper chain. Man.
it's money.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that size, I
Something
think they
different.
like that size profile of it and everything. But
Mhm.
and then yeah, we were there for about an hour, and then we just died. We didn't work yet. Nothing coming through. But like I said, we weren't on the brush piles, so I think maybe as that morning wore on, you started getting fish moving more back into the brush pile.
Yeah.
Once they started getting more light penetration. Yeah, so we had to go on the move.
Yeah.
So like I mentioned before, I had marked some other spots. Well, prior to us moving that first time, another individual had come out.
And by mark spots, you marked them. You
Like
didn't drill.
I pushed the snow out of the way sort of situation because I didn't have to drill my hand anymore.
Brett said X marks the spot right here.
Yeah,
And
by
just
God, that's
taking
what
snow out of
that's
the
what that new dude posted right up. Like he drilled his holes right in the spot, so I kicked the snow
I mean,
out of him.
he probably listened to our show and he's like,
I mean, he was
use your fish finders.
Yep.
And go look and see. Oh shoot, this is marked out already.
Yep.
I bet there's something here.
I mean, by all means, there was nothing wrong with what that guy was doing. I mean, he was plenty far away still.
Oh, yeah.
I had wandered off a ways marking some of these spots. I mean, there was no reason for him to think, hey, these guys weren't already coming through here. They're doing anything.
Yeah.
So by no means was it that guy's fault. But when we got to moving, and I'm like, shit, that guy's right where I wanted. Because I walked over
It's
there.
right there.
Because I got out, and I'm like, well, I'll go drill these holes out quick before we move the tent.
That's Plan B. If Plan A dies out.
And he sat up on plan A where I wanted to fish. And I was like, all
There's
right,
Plan
well,
A, and we've started fishing Plan B.
well, after you had just
Yeah.
vetoed it that this was the plan A right here.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So after I looked around, that was the place I wanted to move to next. But he'd already posted up on it. And I walked over there. I walked pretty close to his tent. I'm like, is this guy on this spot right here? And yeah, he was right over
Oh
there.
yeah, he's on.
So then I walked over to playing, what are we at? C now.
Yep.
Drilled our 3 holes for you, me, jigging, and the Panoptics. And we were And I had other holes in the area, and I looked around, and you know, I didn't mark a lot of fish above the brush piles, but I'd mark a lot of fish off to the side of these brush piles.
Yep.
So I was like, well, you know what? I'll just drill these because I'm not going to do a bunch of punching around. We'll drill out these holes here quick. We'll fish it for an hour. We'll see what happens. If it works out, great. If not, we'll move.
Yep.
So I pushed them out to the side, just a little bit off this brush pile. And actually, we had pretty good success. All bluegills. I don't think we caught any crappies.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Moved over to that spot. And that's really where we had to kind of hone in the bite a little bit. They got a little tougher.
Yeah, they definitely were a little bit smarter.
Yep.
They'd come up to it. You could see it on the Panoptics. They'd stare at it a little while.
Then they'd take off.
You try a couple different things, they'd take off.
Yep.
Throw a different bait down there, do the same thing.
Yep.
Just it's about dialing in exactly what they want.
I
don't really think we figured out exactly what they would.
I think we got a little better. I mean,
closer.
as far as bait wise, I don't know that we got figured out. But as far as presentation and moving the bait wise, I think we got that figured out. Where if they came in and had an opportunity to stare at it, they weren't going to bite it.
Mm-hmm.
But if they came in and the ones that I really got to bite is if I moved that jig away from them as fast as they were coming up to it, they would speed up and hit it. And I mean, there was no doubt about it. They just crushed it. There was no stopping and thinking about it. Now, what's kind of difficult about that is oftentimes if you're moving away from that far, I mean, you're getting that rod pretty. I mean, I'm running schoolie, so I can't reel up.
And you had the 40-inch one.
Well, I didn't start doing that till later, but we'll get into that here in a little bit. But I mean, by the time they come and hit, I mean, my hands are at or above my head. Yeah. The rod is. So when they come and bite it, I'm trying to watch my indicator, trying to watch the fish finder on the ice at the same time, and you just kind of throw the rod over your head and set.
Good thing that otter's pretty tall. Man.
Yeah, worked out.
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I've hit the top of my sled or my shaft a handful of times, but
yeah, kudos to that other guy for taking his girlfriend out.
Oh yeah.
So he came over and chatted with us.
Yeah, came over and chatted. So that was the thing too. Well, that was the thing too about saying he was on plan A or plan B where I wanted to go next. And then he came over and
there wasn't any.
Turns out they weren't catching anything.
Something was wonky.
But I think what happened, they had a couple things going against them. Just chatting with that guy. Number one is they were fishing a camera. I think that's all they had.
Yeah. Yep. And he could not see very far on the camera.
2 feet, 3 feet.
Yep. And he's like, whenever they come in, they would just swim in, look at our stuff. Go.
So the problem with that is number one, you're restricted to only the area that camera can see.
Your camera's looking out.
You're not like jigging up. You're not trying to get that bait away from. Like I said, how we got him to bite was we had to get him to chase.
Yep.
It's difficult to do that when they're.
And we targeted individual fish too on the Panoptics, where you could see, okay, here's one off to the side at 10 foot, and there's one off over on Brett's side over at 6 foot.
Yep.
And Brett's going to reel up to that 6 foot. I'm going to lower down to that 10 foot. Yep. We're going to jig independently, try and get those fish to come in from the side.
Yep.
And trying to get them in. Where with a camera, unless you have it in that straight down view, which I've never had any luck
doing that and
seeing fish with that. You picture drop your camera straight down, looking at your circle down at the bottom. The fish profile is the thinnest and the hardest to see.
That kind of water clarity.
No, so you're looking at fish down from the top versus from the side.
So it's their number one problem I think they had was they wouldn't see the fish until the fish was already there staring at their bait.
Yeah. And
like I said before, we weren't getting anything to bite if it was able to sit there and stare at the bait.
Yeah.
That. And number two, I think, is just the camera. I think maybe that. I still believe that kind of makes fish a little wonky sometimes, but not always. But sometimes.
Man, they were there till after. I mean,
they were still there when we left. Yeah. But luckily we didn't go fish that spot.
South Dakota Plates. You say you used to live there.
Yeah.
Or you used to live
around. Yeah. Well, I told you I was a good lake. I was fishing.
Yeah, so I wonder if he drove back from South Dakota.
He probably drove from South Dakota.
Probably to try and warm up.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, yeah.
Go, shit, it's -5 over there.
Yeah,
Let's go.
It's -50 at my house.
It'd be a lot better to ice fishing.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And he had a propane auger.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Yeah, we thought a 4-wheeler's fired up. Just propane 4-stroke.
I hadn't heard that in a long time.
Another dude snuck in kind of by himself.
Yep. Right between us all.
Yeah, hauling the K-drill out.
I never saw him move. He just dug his holes and stopped there.
And the way he was drilling holes, it just kills me. Just you can just see some guy just leaning on this K-drill, just a terrible angle.
Oh yeah.
At like 80 degree angle or 70 degree angle, just like drilling in by his feet. Yeah. It's like can't drill a square hole.
Man, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
You gotta get your auger caught.
It's cold out.
Yeah.
I'll give them that.
Let them ride.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So yeah, we fished till what, 11:30? Well, we were in the truck.
Well, we still got, with that third spot's one I want to talk about a little bit about how we posted up on that brush pile, a little bit on that third spot.
Yeah, so it took a little bit of doing to figure out exactly where to post up.
Well, we had an argument
Scoping it
about,
out.
so the time frame of us wanting to move from the second spot to that third spot, we had a little argument about how far 24 feet was.
Yeah, I was ready to do it. I was just gonna pack it up and leave your ass in the lake.
Ben was like, oh, I think it's about that far away. Well, you don't remember.
No, I said I think it's about that far, and you said, hey, you should step it off.
Yeah, you should.
Which I did.
Well, I was peeing.
And then you're still like, no, that ain't right.
That's
either.
too far. You're too far. You're way too far.
I think I counted off 21 of my steps because I was like, well, I know it's a little more than a foot.
Yeah, I usually just call 3 feet regular stride.
See, and I could have done that. You would have said, no, that's too short.
That's too short. Yeah, I would have said something no matter what. Probably.
So really, we should just take one of those little tapes out there. Because we even tried shoving the auger down the hole.
I couldn't see it, but I think I had my transducer pointing down.
Yeah, just not enough angle.
I didn't have enough angle looking up. No, I mean you can adjust it. You can pick it up one tick and it would.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Then it would have picked up.
Yeah, I think I had it point down too far because you get. I've come to find a notice on that panoptic is when you're doing that forward view, the angle of that transducer makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you're more interested in things that are
out
in the water, like suspended in the water.
Yep.
Kind of have it clicked up a little bit. I mean, you still don't want it straight out, but you kind of want it still pointing down a little bit, but
sure,
not as severe of an angle. But if you're more concerned about what you're looking at on the bottom, kind of click it down a little bit, point it down a little bit deeper, a little bit more towards the bottom makes a big difference.
But yeah, we'll work on that.
Yeah. But what I was wanting to get on, so I had forward view and I could see this brush pile, and I could see where it kind of drops off, and it dropped off pretty steep, and then there was a little divot. And it kind of dropped off into some deeper water, and I'm like, man, that looks like a juicy spot.
Yep.
And we ended up right over the top of where we wanted to be.
Yep.
What the brush pile was, and what you can see on Panoptic was basically, if you think of a tree with its root ball, the tree was basically kind of sticking out of the ground at a 45-degree angle, and where we ended up was basically on the top of that tree, like the very tip.
You were on the tip of that tree.
That's where my bait was landing.
Yep.
Like I could not go. We were sitting in.
Yep.
20 feet of water, 15 feet of water, and my bait could not go deeper than 8 feet because I would land on that tree.
Yep.
And I even tried. I mean, I put it down
coming up. You got Brett's bait here. You got the Panoptics right in the middle.
Yep.
About a foot away from that.
Yep.
And then you got my bait.
And
that's,
then Ben,
that's dropping down.
Ben could drop all the way
way
down, and he could get after those fish that were kind of, I don't know, using that as shelter.
Covered underneath.
Yep. And I think you had more action, but I definitely caught more fish.
Yeah, they were just.
The fish were definitely more aggressive if I could get them to come to that tip of that tree.
Which, it makes sense. I mean, they were hanging out, sheltered area under that tree.
Wanting to just hang out.
The ones up top are the predator ones.
They're already
looking
looking
for
for
stuff
feed.
coming around.
Yeah, I mean, it was instant. Once I started dropping on there, you could. I mean, you wouldn't be able to see them, but you could start seeing that red flicker starting to move up towards your baits and that sort of stuff. And that's where I picked up that one big 9-inch bluegill off of there.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, so it was really the spot on the spot sort of thing, which.
Yeah.
I don't know that we would have been able to get on it as easily or as effectively as we were without that Panoptic.
Yeah, that or even a camera too. It's hard to use a camera to find exactly where you need to be, unless you're really good at having a camera that has your compass directions.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough to
dialed
get
in
direction dialed
and
in.
calibrated. You're like, okay, well it's down there spinning around, and is the brush pile over here or is it over here?
Yeah, is it left or right of you?
Shoot. So then you drill it, and then you drop your flasher down there, and then you just see a bunch of stuff in the water.
Yeah.
You can't tell.
You don't know.
I don't know. Just interference, whatever.
Yeah, and then the more drill holes you make, having this
Then-
Panoptic, the more I've come to find out that spooks the shit out of fish.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's amazing how much fish move with just even one drill hole.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And then have the fish freeze up on the way home.
Yeah, it was like super froze on the way.
Because it was -5.
The ice was white.
That's the other thing we were going to talk about.
What?
Brett tried some new food on the way home.
Oh, Popeyes. Yeah, Popeyes chicken sandwich.
Popeyes spicy chicken sandwich.
Yeah, that was pretty solid.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, no, I never. I think I've only ever had Popeyes once, and I got like their chicken strip basket. And it was, I don't think I even ate the whole thing. I threw it away. It was terrible.
Not real impressive. But yeah, that's spicy chicken.
Yeah, that chicken sandwich was pretty good. I mean, you put enough mayonnaise on the chicken sandwiches.
Spicy.
Yeah, whatever it is. That's good.
It's pretty hot. My nose is running after that, of course.
Yeah, but so as I preached, and I thought was the cat's meow was always put a little bit of water in your bucket.
Yep.
Keep your fish from freezing. And it did throughout the day, but we were also inside the shack. When I put that bucket in the back of the truck, in the hour that it took for us to get from the lake back home, that bucket was frozen solid.
Yeah.
And I would imagine what it was the wind whipping into that bucket, keeping that water moving. The ice was pure white by the time it froze.
Yeah, that's pretty foamy.
It was kind of weird looking. And I was like, what's going on here? But yeah, thawed out. Oh, well, what I had to do was not tell Becca that I brought it in the house. What I had to do was I put it in a cooler standing up.
Bucket. Don't worry about it.
I put it in a cooler. Well, I did it during the week while she was home.
Smart.
I put it in a cooler standing up so it wouldn't stink.
Yep.
Like lake water and stuff like that down in the basement.
Well,
And then, yeah, so it took a few days for it to thaw out.
like 2-3 days kind of deal.
Well, today. And I put it in there on Monday morning.
Oh man, yeah, that was.
And there's still a big block of ice in there, but
Yeah, but it wasn't like gallons and gallons of water either. This was
No. Maybe
a couple quarts.
64 ounces.
Yeah.
That's very specific, but yes.
Yeah, exactly. A couple quarts, 64 ounces.
Yep.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, yeah, I don't know.
It was a good trip though.
Keep it in the pickup.
That's certainly a pond or a lake that I think is always something that's going to be worth going back to.
Yep.
Fish action was just nonstop.
Yep.
I mean, there was always a time that there was fish on.
Yeah, and it was easy to get to.
Yeah. Easy to get to, easy access.
Drop right in, drive right out there.
Now low pressure.
You don't have to spend all day trying to find where to go.
No. Yeah, you just kind of go to the spots.
Yep, that was pretty cool.
Yep. So what are we doing this weekend, Ben?
So this weekend, we're kind of torn. So we have a couple different opportunities, of course. You know, the
Warm up, big time
Jeez.
warm up. So I mean,
It's
the
gonna
world
be
is our
like-
oyster.
maybe 30 degrees, which is going to be a huge heat wave.
Yep. I mean, obviously we got to go southern Iowa. I think that
Yeah.
no matter what that is, because
Yep. This
the
is kind of a
opportunity to
rare
have this
opportunity.
kind of ice,
Yep.
yeah, it doesn't come around all that. Is not a very long period of time in Iowa.
Yeah, so there's a couple lakes that we could try. Brett's pretty excited about a nice walleye lake.
Walleye perch.
Walleye and perch. Not a lot of info out on it.
No, that's the tough part. So
Everyone's been
usually what
pretty
I
checked
do
about
is, over my lunch break and that sort of stuff, I can hop on and do a little internet searching and see what I can figure out. Get on a few forums, ice shanty, in-depth
it.
outdoors.
Like the DNR report. Was
Well, obviously I look at the DNR report, but you don't really get first-hand experience.
Oh, I know, but at least that's something.
So a lot of times I think those reports are just regurgitated year after year anyways. But so I did that, and I got lake maps and stuff, and so I've got an idea where I want to go. But I was just curious, kind of where I couldn't find where the pressure is going to be at because we haven't been to that lake yet this year, and I really haven't fished it. I think I might have only ever fished it once in my life, and that was it's been renovated since then. And it's been quite a few years.
Oh, yeah. Because we fished the other one with Kirby when it was super warm out.
Yeah, what was that, like 2014?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a long enough period of time that I'm not going to bank on any of that information.
Yep. So we got that. Brett's pretty excited about. Then there's another pretty good panfish lake, smaller body of water.
Yeah. So what's got me really kind of
pressure.
horned up about that is, last weekend we went there, and I mean, they're really good size. Good chance to catch 9.5, maybe a 10-inch bluegill.
Yep.
Where this lake, you're going to catch 10-inch.
Yeah, I was catching 10 inches. Yeah.
All day long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just 10 inch and bass.
Yeah.
Pretty
I mean,
good.
granted, that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's any popular now. I still like watching internet things. I have not seen that lake come up.
No, and like I said, the whole southern Iowa thing, our geography where we're at along Interstate 80, you have ice above Interstate 80.
And people
you
count
have, and you have sketchy, some years hit or miss ice below Interstate 80. So that's where, it can make good years, bad years, especially fishing this late in the season.
Yeah.
It's really hit or miss then.
Well, for as cold as it's been now, and I mean, we've got to have at least a couple weeks down to fish southern Iowa, I think.
Yeah. But yeah, I'd be interested to see what kind of ice is like out there.
Oh, it'll be good. I would be shocked if it's less than 10 inches.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be real surprised. On either lake.
But I mean, they have gotten a lot of snow too. We've seen that up here where a lot of snow really hampers the ice.
Makes a big difference.
Yeah. I mean, there's not nearly as much ice as what you think.
Yeah.
For being 15, 20 below zero at night for a week straight.
Yeah.
So.
So it'll be interesting. Unfortunately, I can't just be like, hey guys, let us know what you'd like to see because we'll be on the water when this is released.
Yeah, you'll hear about it next week.
Yeah.
We'll post something on Facebook about our success or our total failure.
Yep. How much time we got here, Ben? I got one more thing I can bring up a little bit on her about my wife and I got out a little bit.
Oh yeah. Tell us about the Valentine's Day date.
Actually, it turned out really good.
Well, yeah, you had a lot of planning in that, a lot of advanced.
Well, I did a little bit of pre-fishing,
Yeah.
but the problem with the pre-fishing is I did that during the day.
Yeah.
And that spot was not the same at night.
Kind of turned off at night, huh?
Yeah, it did hardly mark fish. But the fish we did mark were bigger fish.
Yeah. Good thing it's a smaller lake. You can kind of. Did you end up moving that?
Yeah, we moved forward 3 feet.
Perfect.
So yeah, I got her out there and I set up everything. Like she just sat in the truck and I drove the sled and everything out there. Started the heater, got the rods all baited up, had them sitting there, and all she had to do was come in and sit down.
The guided trip.
Which it worked out. That worked out better anyways.
Yeah.
Did that. Got her on one real nice blue. I didn't catch anything, but I gave her. I had one cadis tied up already, and I gave that to her because I knew that was if something was going to come across, I was going to pound that.
The money bait.
And we were fishing 5 feet of water, so I mean it's not here real deep.
Yeah.
So yeah, she got one real nice bluegill, like probably maybe a hair over 9 inches. And then this bullhead came out of nowhere, like huge, massive mark come across the panoptic, and I'm like, oh shit, what's this thing? And it just comes up and just crushes her bait.
Oh, nice.
And she don't know. She's like, oh. You
The
know,
schoolie drag.
yeah, trying to. No, she don't know how to run the schoolie.
Well,
drag. She's just hanging on to it and cranking it up. So she just reels it in, and I'm like, oh, it's probably a little bass or nice bass or something like that. Look at this ugly bastard looking up at me. And it's got that. It's just dang near choked that cadis.
Nice.
Oh gosh. Did
you bring your pliers?
Yeah, I had.
Okay, that's good.
But they were tucked in my coat pocket, which was already put away. So I obviously tried with my fingers first.
Yeah.
So this sucker. So I finally get his mouth pried open, and the problem with that cadis is you can't tell which direction that hook's pointing, unless you can see where it starts to turn. Yeah. So if you only see if you only see the eyelet, you
have no idea.
You don't know. It's 50-50 chance on which direction that hook's pointing.
Yeah.
So I pry his mouth open a little bit, and I start to unpry that sucker out of there, and I get my finger in there, and that sucker bit the shit out of me. Like he clamped down on my pointer finger and probably didn't let go for a good 45 seconds.
Dang.
Like he's
serious.
He was mad.
Yeah.
Finally, I got her off, and I was like, "We're just putting this back. We're not getting a picture. Throw that sucker back in the water."
Don't need that.
It was a big one. I bet it's 12 inches.
Now we know it's in there. Wide variety.
It was a nice bullhead.
Yeah.
I mean, as far as bullhead size, that was a big sucker.
That's sweet. Yeah, that's cool. It's one of the original ones.
No, somebody put that in there. Yeah. Tyler Stubbs ain't stocking. I'll tell you that.
No. That's a self-stocker there. Yeah. Well, that's pretty cool. Nice to be able to get out and do that. It was
cold. Yeah. I was impressed that she was still wanting to go out. But I mean, I had the sunflower heater out there, so I mean that thing just blazed heat. So I mean, we opened up. We had that thing running on low, and we opened up windows.
Yep. The old sunflower. Yep. It's burning everything in sight.
Worked out good.
That's good. Well, I was going to mention too. We made our podcast interview debut last week.
Oh yeah.
So we got to be a part of the Beer Fish Fanatics podcast. If you guys have not heard of those guys, Grandy and Kit, two super cool dudes.
Yep.
Talking about fishing. They run a excellent podcast. They do it all the way through the year. They have just incredible guests.
It's definitely more professional than this is.
Pretty much every week they're doing a guest.
They put a lot more work into it.
Oh yeah, man, just
ton of work into it.
Turned out great.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a blast doing that.
Yeah. I'd suggest go check those guys out. They're good shit.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So can't wait to get out on the ice with those guys. We got a pretty good amount of the season left here in Central Iowa, and there'll be more to come on that.
Yep. Yeah, hopefully we at least got 4 more weeks.
Yep, definitely. Been a good year so far. We'll keep it up.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, cool. We'll catch us next time, guys, on
The Short Rod Show.